Okay, here we are with God's help, with the assistance of the Almighty, the God of Israel, creator of the universe, that's keeping us alive and still has faith in us. So the Rebbe said, this week's Torah portion is a very, very, very deep and relevant message to us about the most important thing there is in the world, and that is Moshiach. The most important event, the culmination and the reason for creation is the Geula, revealing the Creator in his creation. Like we just finished learning, the marriage between the Creator and his creation, between God and the world in a way it's never been before. And believe it or not, it's going to happen right now. We just have to constantly remind ourselves that Judaism is founded on miracles. The religion of Judaism is not like any other religion. We said this so many times. All the other religions, very nice religions, there's very positive religions. Some of them are not so positive. They're all based on going to hell and hating everybody else. Anybody who doesn't accept their religion goes to hell. Paranoid religions, which that's basically what Christianity is. But then there's very nice, Buddhism and these things. There's some beautiful ideas over there about, kindness and peace and things like this. But nevertheless, all of them have no conception whatsoever, and they certainly are not based on God appearing in the world to 3 million people and doing massive miracles, taking them out of Egypt, giving them bread in the desert for 40 years, surrounding them with clouds of glory, giving them water all this time from a rock, bringing them to a mountain, and everybody seeing God and receiving a book from God. Everyone, directly. All the religions have their books and the things, but some guy went into the desert and he found a plaque, something fell from heaven. Or some people say this guy is God, whatever he says is God, right? God is speaking to him, whatever. Here the Jewish people saw and heard God himself gave the command. So that's the amazing miracles. That's the essence of Judaism. It's not some sort of a weirdo, flaky, impractical, unreal idea. It is the essence of reality. It is true reality. It's the basis of Judaism, and Judaism just doesn't go away, despite the efforts of all of the, the missionaries and the Zionists and the whatever it is, the church and the Inquisitions and the this and this, and that just doesn't go away. It just keeps sticking around. There's always, people that are here. They are. But that also, it's a big miracle. It's not found anywhere else. So what was going to happen is the Mashiach is going to show bigger miracles than when we left Egypt. And the biggest miracle of all is that the Jews are going to believe that God took us out of Egypt. They won't deny it. Here in Israel, Medinat Israel, if you deny the Holocaust, whoa, that is just unheard of. If you deny that God took us out of Egypt, that's par for course. Receiving the Torah on Mount Sinai, who says that even happened? Holocaust, ooh, this is the basis, essence of Judaism, right? The Holocaust was very bad, 100%. It was a terrible thing, but it's not the basis of Judaism. In some ways, the sooner we forget about it, the better, because it just sends a negative message. What's the message that it sends? That you can't bring peace and progress and order in the world through intellect and culture and science and all these things that the Germans were the best at. Right? That's the message of that. What's the message of Torah and the commandments? That you have to do what God says, no matter what. That God is the creator of the universe. God is good. He'll give you good. Maybe you don't understand the good. You don't understand it. Could be. we don't understand why we have two eyes and why they're in our head. Why didn't God put the two eyes on like two tentacles or something? Okay, and says the Rebbe, we Jewish people are waiting for the future redemption. And we're not so much waiting passively. We're doing something. One thing we're doing is, first of all, believing in it. That's also doing something, putting our attention. Our attention is very important. In Judaism, your attention and your intentions are very, very important. Says the Rebbe, another thing is we're learning about it. We're learning about what to expect. Another thing is that we're working hard, we're doing the commandments, we're learning Torah. These things are not always easy to do. To understand the Torah, to understand the ideas, sometimes very difficult. In addition to that, we're also trying to refine our personality, to be positive all the time, to be loving, not to be negative, to help others, to give charity. Hard work. But the Rebbe says, and this is the point of what he's saying over here, not only is it hard work, sometimes it's going to be a big battle. Sometimes you have to fight a battle with yourself. Sometimes you have to fight a battle, and it implies that sometimes you might lose money, right? If you work on Shabbat, you'll make $1 million. You're willing to do it? No, it's a battle. What about forgetting about working on Shabbat? What if you just lie a little bit? Huh? It's a big battle. Hating somebody, getting mad at someone, and being positive all the time, positive, helping people all the time, giving more charity than you want to. Sometimes it's a big battle you have to fight against negativity, against things that are against the godliness, against God. You have to fight against it. So says the Rebbe, but you have to know that this battle is already basically won. Why is it already won? Won with a W, W-O-N. The battle is all because we are connected to the essence of God. We're like part of the creator. We're not really, so to speak, in the creation. If so, the battles that we're fighting, it's like, who makes these oppositions to us? God makes it all. And we're like part of God. So somehow or other, it's like the son of the boss of the huge multi-billion-dollar firm. And his son comes in the first day, he's a janitor, and the second day he comes, of course he's going to be elevated. The next day he becomes a head of a department, and then becomes head of a whole the section, then becomes the head of the whole thing, then becomes the president of the whole company, right? But he has to work if the father really wants, so he has to work. But on the other hand, he's the president's son. We're the son of the creator of the whole universe. So that's hinted at by this week's Torah portion, ki teitzei lemilchama, but in Mincha we say ki tavo el haaretz. The reward is already included in the battle. So they're all together. Therefore, when we do have difficulties in the world, which there's not lacking difficulties in the world, but we have to be a little more calm. We have to understand that somehow or other we have to fight these battles, but really the fact is that we're the boss of the whole thing. We've already won. The reward and the work is all together. Yesh l'kasher, we can attach all this together, that our work that we do in the world, Torah, commandments, spreading Judaism, spreading Hasidut, working on our personality, being more positive, helping others, fighting the battles of this world, but doing it in a way that it's calm, in a way that as though it's already finished, the work is already finished. To do this both together, we can attach this, what it said before. Like, in other words, we're in the exile and we're in the redemption at the same time. We can attach this to what we said before, that the time when we read all of these Torah portions, Hamoadim Shel Kol Hashana, the holidays, they're all relevant to a parsha shechalot b'hem. The Torah portions that we read are all relevant to the time that we're reading. like we said, everything in the world is a hint at how to serve God better and how God is infinitely more real and infinitely more infinite than we think. And everything in the world comes to teach us this, especially something in the Torah, especially the portion of the Torah, especially the times, the holidays of the Torah. So that which we're reading, this Kitetse and Kitavo together, going out to war in a way that's already, the reward is already there with us, that we're reading in the month of Elul. Month of Elul is the last month of the year. Shabo Osim Cheshbon Tzedek, that we make proper accounting for the whole year. Almanad, in order to fix up, Hashlim, and to complete, calling Yeni Avodah the Torah of Tefillah and Gemilas Chasadim, in order that we can complete anything that's missing in our service of Torah and prayer and good deeds. I mean, you've probably, concluded that people don't live forever. People only have a certain amount of time in this world. And the time that we have in this world is in order to fill up the days, as many days as we have, and we should have more days. I mean, infinite says eventually the dead will raise, it'll be infinite. But now it's not that way. So we have a certain amount of time. Every day should be filled up as much as possible with good deeds and positive things, and in a calm way and in a happy way. Right? Not a person to say, oh, it's a whole day is already gone. He gets mad at his wife, he gets mad, you're trying to stop me from the. No, that's part of the work that you're doing, is dealing with all these interruptions. And the biggest interruption usually comes from ourselves. Right? What happens? What do we do when there are no interruptions? We're sitting and we're learning, we're doing, right? Al Yadei, by means of avodas tshuva, by means of doing what's called tshuva. Kamarumas, like it says in Parsha, ubachta et avia vet ima yerach yamin. It says you go out to war, the enemy will put in your hands, you take a prisoner, and she will weep for her mother and father 1 month. Yerach yamin. What is that 1 month? The month of Elul. This is the month of Elul, where we weep for our mother and father. We weep because of our connection is lost to our chachma and our bina. Our chachma, our faith in God and our understanding of God. By means of this, you can come to the ultimate revelation, the future redemption. Like it says, the Parshatenu in our Torah portion, and then afterwards, like it says in our portion, our Torah portion, like it says, tavo ala oretz, come to the land of Israel. And afterwards, tavo alea, and it says ubalta. And before that, it says that you take this woman into captivity, and this is talking about God taking the Jewish people, Yofet Torah, that we've been trapped in the non-Jews, and we take a shivyo. It says shivito shivyo. You will take a prisoner. It doesn't say you will take one of the enemy as prisoner. It says you will take a prisoner. You will take someone that was a prisoner by the non-Jews. In other words, the Jewish people, they are now prisoner among the non-Jews. And God, it says, he will take her, and afterwards, for 1 month, she will cry for her father and her mother. It means the Jewish people, this woman that was kidnapped, the Jewish people that were kidnapped by the non-Jews, so God will take her back by means of our work. He'll take her back, and she'll weep for her mother and father 1 month. That's this month of Elul, when we make a reckoning of our soul. And then afterwards, v'tavo ala ubalta. And then afterwards, it says, he will have relations with her, and she will be his wife. Hainu ke'inyan, like it says, uba yomahu, on that day, tikrali ishi. On that day, you will call my husband. That's what we just finished learning, right? In Likkutei Torah, that the future redemption, it says God won't just raise us back to what we were before. We won't just be raised up to be the unmarried virgin girl, Jewish people pure like we were when God took us out of Egypt. No, it'll be much more than that. God will marry us. Tikra Ishi, Kamaim Razal, like it says, Liamota Mashiach in the days of the Mashiach will be, God will marry the Jewish people, will be married. This whole time has sort of been like an engagement. Or it's been we've been under the wedding canopy, but we haven't consumed the wedding yet. Like it says, because it says the one who has your husband who has relations with you, he was the one that makes you, so to speak. That's the Jewish people. Their whole identity will be that we are the wife of the creator of the universe. V'gam Chodesh Hachana, this month of Elul, is also a month of not just preparation for the wedding, but it's preparation for for serving God in the whole next year. According to this, we can say that in the month of Elul is stress joining these two things together that we said before. The serving God, working, that's going to war, and the reward that's coming to the land of Israel, that we read it in the Mincha of Shabbat. At the beginning of serving God in the next year will be after the completion of serving God that we do in this year. Because a Jew has to always raise up. There's no such thing as, they have this in these Eastern religions, that the guy becomes enlightened, right? He sits under a tree or something, and he becomes enlightened. Oh, that's it. He made it. He's a new person. He says, okay, maybe there is such a thing. I'm not saying that there's not such a thing. It could be. But that's not Judaism, doesn't say that. Judaism says to be as much light and enlightened as you can possibly be. That's always nothing compared to any level which is more, more alive than it, higher than it, you want to call it. It says, Jewish people have always improved. What's the proof? Moses was the highest of the high, went up on Mount Sinai, received the Torah. The Jew went to a place where nobody could go. It says even the angels couldn't go there. You can't get any higher than that. Nevertheless, he came down. You figured he'd come down, he'd break the tablets and say, that's it, I quit. I quit, you bums, leave me alone. When I was a shepherd, right? I was enjoying myself. I was holy, right? I did all this. Break the tablets and then you take it on your own. Find yourself a new Moses. Hey, Moses, where are you going? Where is he going? Oh, he's mad. He got in. That's it. Moses should have. No. Moses realized that the reason the Jewish people fell was because he himself had to raise himself up. Even Moses had to raise up. And in fact, it says Mashiach will be a higher level than Moses. This is hinted at Elul. What's Elul? Elul is Ani ladodi li. I am to my beloved, namely God, and then my beloved comes to me. In the beginning of the service is in a way of we have to do the work from below. But afterwards, God comes to us. But it's all in one word. We're going to God, and God is coming to us in one word. Mudgeshes, taklis. This is the whole completion of the whole idea of serving God and the reward for that serving together. Hayichud, unifying ani, the unifying I, and the beloved, namely God, Knesset Israel and God, in a way of a marriage. Ani ladodi, God is my beloved. A marriage is a time that's not just a physical unity. A marriage is supposed to be a time that there's love. It's a new type of a love, that a person loves his wife. It's a type of love. It's not like they sit like in the movies and they become one flesh. Yisrael v'Kodesh Baruch Hu. We're talking about the love of a husband, a physical husband and wife. It's supposed to be like the love of God and the Jewish people. God loves us no matter what. Yisrael v'Kodesh Baruch Hu kul echad, they're all one. Kamud, gosh, like it's explained, these 40 days that Moses was on Mount Sinai to receive the last tablets. That was the day that Jewish people got married really to God, when Moses came down with the second tablets. When did Moses go up for the second tablets? He went up on Rosh Chodesh Elul. When did he come down? Yom Kippur. So this is hinted at the 4 yuds, which are in Ani, Ladodi, Vadodi Li, the 4 yuds. That's Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur is the day of God's marriage. Shenitnu Baluchat Shniot, that was when we were given the second tablets, which that's the tablets that we have now. And finally, the completion of this marriage will be in the days of the Mashiach, the marriage between the Jewish people and God. And like I said before, everyone in the world is invited. And to comment, this idea of this marriage, the word marriage also comes from the language of elevate, nasa. Nisiut Rosh, lifting up the head of the Jewish people, lifting up the consciousness of the Jewish people. Sheshlemuto b'Mashiach. This will be the completion, will be done by the Moshiach. Shene'amar bo, like it says by the Mashiach, Yorom v'nisa v'gavamot. It is in the prophecy of Isaiah. I think it's right after last week's Haftorah, immediately after this, Hine Yaskel Ovdi, consider my servant. He is elevated, v'nisa, and he is high, he's elevated, he's exalted very much. It says the Mashiach is going to be somebody that's higher than King David, higher than Elijah the prophet, higher than Moses, and higher even than Adam, the first man that was directly created by God. Al Yado, by means of Mashiach, there will be the ultimate, not just the marriage, but the elevation of the consciousness of every single one of the Jewish people. And especially Al Yadei Nitzutz Mashiach, every Jew already has a spark of the Mashiach inside. This is the level of the Yechidah of the soul. Yechidah leyachtach. Totally united with the essence of God. Shem yuchedet im yechidu shel olam. That is totally united with the essence of the Jewish soul, which is totally united with the essence of God. That's called the fifth level of the soul, Yechidah. Okay, all of this is waiting for us behind this very thin veil of what we now call exile. The main thing is that this month of Elul, in this year of Tav Shin Nun Aleph, Tav Shin, our year is Tav Shin Pei Aleph, Tav Pei to Naseh. This means to be elevated. Naseh means to be elevated. To Naseh, it means it will be elevated. By us, it's tipale, to be amazing. I'm making this up. Pale, it means to be elevated in a miraculous way. Whether regarding the Mashiach, that he will elevate, he himself will be Nisa Ma'od, he will be very high. As far as this year goes, he will be a person of Pele Ma'od, it will be very amazing, Pei Lamed, very high elevated. Regular the Nisuin, or the marriage of the Jewish people and God in the days of the Mashiach, in the language of Yalkut Shimoni, where it says Shana Shemelech Mashiach Nigla, the day that Mashiach, the year that Mashiach is there, Omed, the Mashiach will stand. Al Gag Beit HaMikdash will stand on the roof, on the top of the holy temple for Omer, and he'll say, Anavim, humble ones, Higiyazman Gulatchem, the time of your redemption has arrived. The Kivin, and there's another sikh where the Rebbe explained that 770 in America, that is the holy temple. It says Beit Rabbeinu Shebabavel. There's a whole Gemara that explains that in the future, that when there's one place, now that the temple is destroyed, in Israel, so there's always one place in the world that's the center of Torah learning and the center of Judaism outside of Israel, and that's called Beit Rabbeinu Shebabavel. And that in the future redemption, it will fly. That's what the Gemara says. I'm not making this up. It will fly in the air with all of the other synagogues in the world, and they'll all fly to Israel and be attached to the Holy Temple, which that sounds pretty fantastic. But when you consider that the third temple is going to come complete from heaven, here at least the synagogues in 770, they already exist. The problem is just flying them. So there's airplanes, I think, that are as heavy as that. There's rocket ships for sure that are as heavy as these, 770. They fly in the air. So what happened, what's going to propel it? That's going to be a miracle. But the third temple is not just going to fly; it's going to be created. It's already there somehow or other. I don't know what it means. It's there. It's really real. We don't see it because we don't see anything that's really real. We just see ourselves. In the future, the third temple is going to be all of a sudden pop. The whole thing is going to, and all of the. So it says the Rebbe is standing on the top of the holy temple, and he's announcing the time for the redemption has arrived. And since we're in the last month of the year, it's impossible, God forbid, God forbid, to push away kiyumo shel havtacha of this promise. The Mashiach is supposed to tzorichem litkayem, take of miyad. It should be immediately, right before Shabbat. Now, of course, a person can ask himself, and I think we should be asking ourselves, hey, what's going on? 30 years has passed since then. What are you talking about? Tavshin Ayin Aleph until Tavshin Pei Aleph. I'm sorry, Tavshin Nun Aleph. This is Rebbe said Tavshin Nun Aleph. 1991 to 2020. This is 30 years. What's going on? The Rebbe said immediately it should happen. So it didn't happen. What's going on? So he said, listen, what the Rebbe said is 100% true. There's no doubt about it. When is it going to happen immediately? We'll see. When it comes, we'll see what's going on. Just like we've got a lot of questions about the Holocaust and this. The questions are in place. But the fact of the matter is, that's what the Rebbe says. Now we're fighting the war. And part of the war is against our own doubts. And there's Parshas Kitavo, that's the reward. It's together. The month of Elul, Shana Tavshin Nun Aleph, is the end of all of our deeds and our work and our suffering the whole time of the exile. So automatically we can receive immediately the reward of the days of the Mashiach and the raising of the dead until the reward of the Elul Shvi. I think I told you this, but I'll tell it to you another time. Let's just do this 1 second. Matan Schar Shel Tzadikim, this is the reward for the Tzadikim in the future. But right now, it won't just be in the future, but it'll be Behova, right now. Now, right now is right now. The same right now that was by the Rebbe back then is the same right now that is now. B'yom zeh. It says, B'yom otiten scharo. God is supposed to give the reward on the same day that we do the work, especially near the end and this moment. The story is that we'll have to do this tomorrow. Tomorrow is Friday, and God willing, on Friday we're going to finish this amazing mimer. It goes up to here. We don't have that much to do. The Rebbe is telling us what we have to do to make this happen right now. What is our work? Yeah. We're starting at Yud Gimel. We'll start tomorrow. The Kloisenberger Rebbe, famous Kloisenberger Rebbe, he was in the Holocaust and he lost, I told the story before, but I don't remember to who I told it. And he lost his whole entire family. He had like 11 children, and his wife, and his immediate family, and his wife's family, and all of them. There's like 200 something people. So they asked him, they interviewed him somewhere, and they said, what was the most, you probably don't want to talk about it, but what was the most traumatic thing that happened to you or maybe he said it on his own. All the suffering that he had, he said the biggest trauma that he had, the worst experience that he had in the concentration camps was when the Americans freed him. It was when he was freed. They said, well, why? I mean, you were free. That means it was the end of, the suffering. True, there were all these people that died, but it was the end of the suffering. He said, no. He said, after what we went through, I was sure that we would be freed by the Mashiach, not by a human being, by Mashiach would come. Only the Americans freed us. I was so tremendously disappointed and broken. So also, we should also be disappointed and broken. But just as the Kloisenberger Rebbe did not for one instant doubt that God knows what he's doing and that the future redemption has to come in a more amazing way. I don't know what to say. But for sure it's going to come and sure it's going to happen. And for sure, somehow or other, these all the events that are happening now with these amazing confusion and disappointments and frustrations that we see all over with the lockdowns and the masks and the viruses and the shma, and this and the rabbis are saying you have to take shots and everybody's going to die if you don't get shots. And then other people say, what are you talking about? The shots don't even work. Well, the shots get this, but you have to wear a mask. The masks are a bluff. The government says you're going to get a fine if you don't wear a mask. You got to wear the mask, the worst thing in the world. we'll put you in quarantine, and everybody's quarantined, everybody hates others, nobody wants to shake anybody's hand, and everybody's worried. No one wants to shake, everyone wants to shake everybody's. Let's make a Havgana. Havganas, that's okay. Going out there, you can have 20,000 people together in the street yelling and screaming with no mask. That's okay. But not the whole world is just so completely confused, and the leaders are just the opposite of leaders. I mean, they're just making more confusion than ever. Like I say, the blind leading the blind. So all of this, somehow or other, I do not claim in any way to understand it or to analyze it properly as, the reason this and the gematria of, Biden and such and such. But the fact is 100%, all we have is Ben Amram. The Rebbe says any second, it has to be like the miracles of going out of Egypt. Nobody dreamed they would leave Egypt. Nobody dreamed it. And the same thing, the situation it is now, right? It'll be in a way that will, in a way that we don't dream what's going to happen. But on the other hand, it has to happen, and we have to be expecting it. And it has to be something that's going to be amazing, incredible miracles that we're going to see, that the world will be exactly the way the Rebbe Melech HaMashiach wants it to be. And that has to happen right now. In any case, until then, what do we have? The Yom Yom. We have the Yom Yom. I don't understand why this thing covers up my Yom Yom. So let's try this again. Here, we're going to try this again. Oh. Very good. Okay, we have the Yom Yom. Let's go back here. Share the screen. Yom Yom. On Shabbat, Parshas Kiteitzei in 1843, the Tzemach Tzedek said, this world is a false world. Even the good, the perfect good that's in here, in this world, has some not good in it. And has to be purified from us from below, as well as God from above to below. In other words, we have to do what we can to refine ourselves, but we have to ask God for mercy that He does it also from above. Olam Haba, the future world, which the future world means three things. It means after a person dies, he goes to Olam Haba. Olam Haba means the day of the Mashiach coming and fixing the world. Olam Haba means the raising of the dead. In any case, all three of them, in a way, they are the world of truth. We see more truth in here. In Torah, there are discussions of things that might appear negative, but really, as they're studied up there in Gan Eden, right, in heaven, after a person dies, those things are very positive. Then the Rebbe started to sing, and he emotion, the very positive emotion that everybody should join with him. Everyone started to sing. Then all the Hasidim joined in, and the singing inflamed everybody. The Tzemach Tzedek stopped and he said, in this world, what it says, a person who studies Torah, li'parakim, he studies Torah once in a while, right? It's a good thing, but not, he studies Torah once in a while. But in Gan Eden, it says parakim means to take apart. The forek means to take apart. When you learn the Torah should take you apart. The words of the Torah should possess you, not you possess the Torah. You conquer the Torah. The Torah conquers you. It takes you apart. That's supposed to be the ideal of learning Torah in this world. Have a good day with Mashiach. Now, 3 o'clock, God willing, we'll learn the remainder of this week's Torah portion, but we'll also learn the half Torah of this week's, this week that we'll be reading. Beautiful half Torah from Isaiah. Rejoice, barren woman that has up to now you haven't given birth, you can rejoice. You're going to have children. The Jewish people are fertile, despite what anybody says, despite what anybody thinks, despite whatever it seems. Nevertheless, rejoice, Jewish people. That's the message of Isaiah. He saw the two destructions of the two temples. He foresaw destruction. He saw the long exile, and nevertheless, he's prophesizing a good prophecy. The Jewish people will truly, truly rejoice, and we've got what to rejoice about. Have a good day with Moshiach Now, see you, I hope, at 3 o'clock. Thank you for coming. You too. Shalom.